y'all, it's your legal bestie, Attorney Simone, and we are here with another episode of Girl, Is That Legal? Breaking down the new indictment in the Diddy case. So that's right. Earlier today, just hours ago, there was released a new indictment in the Diddy case. It adds, I believe it's 2 additional victims, and it expands on the accusations. And there's some more tea, guys. Some additional tea is that this will not be the only indictment coming out. As of right now, trial is set for Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. And it appears that there's going to be some additional indictments that are coming out as well. So let us know where you're watching from in the chat. Drop your questions in the chat. Thanks. It's great to see you guys. And let's get started with the cover letter, which kind of leads it on out. Now, what this is this is effectively an amended indictment. So the indictment is the charging instrument. So I'm going to start right here with this. Oops, let's see. Hold on, let's get it. We're going to jump right into it with this layout. There we go. All right. So earlier today, it says the government respectfully submits this letter regarding the indictment returned today, meaning they convened in a new grand jury. This grand jury was different than the one that did the indictment that came out last September. And this grand jury thought that there was sufficient probable cause to bring these new and revised claims. All right, so it says the grand jury, as set forth below, the indictment contains no new charged offenses. So it's still the same 3 charges as before, but it includes additional allegations in count 1, the charge racketeering conspiracy, and it specifies certain victims relevant to counts 1 and 3. The government has already produced the vast majority of discovery associated with this indictment and does not expect for the indictment to affect existing pre-trial deadlines. The government respectfully requests that the defendant be arraigned on this indictment at the next scheduled conference. In other words, they don't want this to be an excuse to push trial back further. They want to stick with the current trial date. So this is affecting counts 1 and 3. Count 2 is basically the same. Here's an overview of what the new indictment is going to cover. It says, in addition to the allegations, including in the initial indictment, this indictment includes the following new allegations. Additional speaking allegations regarding racketeering activity. It gives us the paragraphs 3, 4, and 5. We'll go to those. Extensions of the racketeering conspiracy it extends it from in or about 2004 all the way through 2024. So now is a 20-year time frame. See, before it started at like 2008, 2009, which was right around the time of Cassie, and went to present. Now they've gone back to 2004. Additional allegations related to the means and methods of the racketeering enterprise related to trafficking, including trafficking of 3 specified female victims, victim 1, 2, and 3. And certain acts of violence. So 12, A, B, D, E, F. All right, we'll get those paragraphs too. Then it says additional racketeering activity involving kidnapping, chargeable under New York law. As well, it states additional narcotics and controlled substances, specifically psilocin and methamphetamines. Now, psilocin, I looked that up. That's basically mushrooms. It's like a form of LSD. It is water soluble. So I'm curious if perhaps that's what was put in people's drinks to make them behave a certain way and relax. And then meth, well, we know about meth. You don't play with that. These are included in the racketeering activity involving the possession with intent to distribute and distribution of narcotics and controlled substances in violation with the law. See Indictment 13H. And modification of the to wit clause. To wit means, for example, clause in count 3 to include victims 1, 2, and 3. I think the prior one just talked about 1 victim. And that would be paragraph 17. It says, the indictment does not add any new counts or contain any substantive changes other than those outlined below. In other words, what it's saying is it's addressing new victims and new ways in which they operated the RICO enterprise. And they're expounding on some things that I want to touch on because, y'all, this is going to be huge for his children. because of how this is written, because of what is written in this new indictment, there may be nothing for these kids to have left. So whatever money it is, they may want, I'm not even gonna say move the money because I don't want you to commit a crime. The kids are innocent as well. We don't know. That one, Justin, he don't know. He's a little freaky. He might have did some stuff, but there we go. All right, here's what we got. It says, and then discovery and pretrial, we don't really care about that. Basically, it's saying they want to stick to the current schedule and that they're basically saying in this paragraph that they've already tendered over to the defense all the documents that they were supposed to. As they obtain more evidence and information, they intend to do so pursuant to the law. Therefore, we don't need to push back trial deadlines or any of that. Part of the reason they don't want to have to push back the trial is because if they do that, that's going to give him another shot at bail. He's definitely going to take that shot. But this footnote is key. Oh yeah, if you look at my backdrop, I am reporting live from Diddy's jail dorm. This is where I'm at. That's why. See, a little tired. See, everybody over there, they're tired. Okay. It says, as the government has previously indicated, its investigation remains active and ongoing. The government will endeavor to return any further superseding indictment, meaning any amended indictment with new accusations or clarifying claims, return as promptly as possible, mindful of the May 5th trial date in this case. Additionally, and regardless of whether the government seeks to charge any additional offenses, to the extent the government obtains additional evidence that it may seek to introduce at trial, it will disclose such evidence to the defense as either Rule 16 or the Jinx Act material. The government further remains cognizant of the ongoing Brady obligations. That's the obligation to turn over any evidence that may help support a defendant's innocence. Brady obligations, and will promptly disclose any exculpatory evidence in its possession of which it becomes aware. The key phrase and sentence is this. The government, as the government previously indicated, its investigation remains active and ongoing. The government will endeavor to return any further superseding indictment as promptly as possible. There will be more amended indictments. There's going to be more of those, probably 2 or 3 more before trial. Mark my words. So this is just the top of the iceberg. Right? This is talking about status conferences and the like, so we can pull that down. All right. And we're going to switch it up. Oh, no. We want this one. Here we go. That's the indictment itself. There you go. And all right, here we go. Now, this is indictment. I'm not going to read the whole thing because we are quite familiar with this case. We're going to get to the T. So here's what we want to know. Hey, guys. Let me see what comments we got. Here's what we want to know. We want to focus on who are the new victims. Because we already knew it was one victim. We knew, well, actually 2. We knew that one of the victims was Cassie, and I believe we anticipated another was Kid Cudi, but they actually didn't name Kid Cudi. I don't think they called him victim 2. We want to know more about what are these allegations for the enterprise, as well as how do these drugs fall into all of it, y'all. So, yep, Miami. We got Miami. I mean, she keeps referring to it as Cinco de Diddy, because Cinco de Mayo is when trial starts. Watching from Georgia, Texas, everyone. Okay, great. So let's get back into this. So, let me adjust this. Oh no, because it looks weird when I'm watching it from there because I'm literally looking down. So that's how we make it look. All right, here we go, girl. Doing the most. Okay, so we know this part. For decades, he's been a terrible person. Blah, 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 blah. Child, here's what matters. Oh, and hold on a second. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to focus on, here we go. I'm going to focus on, what did we call it? Indictment? Yes. Yeah. I'm going to focus on the paragraphs that are different because I have ADD and that's what we care about. Okay. So it starts at paragraph 3. It says at all times relevant to the indictment, Diddy, aka all of the names, was engaged in a persistent and pervasive form of abuse towards women and other individuals. This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in orchestrated performances of S activity with Combs and, at times, with Combs and male commercial S workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial S workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling them with their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same and using intimidation and violence. Physical abuse by Diddy was recurrent and widely known on numerous occasions from at least in or about 2008 and continuing for years. Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. Combs' violence was also not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, to witnesses to his abuse, and others. On one occasion at an LA hotel, okay, we know that one with Cassie, when a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Subsequently, Combs, with the assistance of several close associates, paid hotel security staff $100,000 for the surveillance footage. That was a key component of why he was not offered bail, because that's tampering with witnesses. And the concern is, if y'all let this man free, if he tampered with witnesses way back then when it wasn't even a criminal offense at issue, what y'all think he's going to do now? Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm from Texas. My accent comes out when I'm passionate. In addition, it says the defendant used the Combs business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his acts of violence, abuse, and commercial sex. Those employees, including security staff, household staff, and personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors and others close acquaintances, acted as Combs' intermediaries, and their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. What this is setting up for is they're about to indict some of his employees that were used to facilitate this violence and abuse, and some of his security staff, some of his household staff, some of his former personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors. They rounded them all up because they're going to need those people to testify against him. And even if they testify, they still could be criminally charged. So yeah, trust and believe. They're not about to play with this man at all. All right, the Combs enterprise. Now here's the part that is going to be life-changing for his kids. It says, from at least in about 2004 to 2024, Combs, the defendant, and others, known and unknown, were members and associates of a criminal organization. In other words, this is the RICO charge. These are the facts supporting it. It's now calling it, it's calling these the Combs Enterprise, and then it says members and associates of the Combs Enterprise. Here's what members are. When you have an LLC, you have managing members frequently. You have those kind of people. Anyone that's named as a member, either back then or to this day, whether that was Harvey Pierre, whether he named any of his sons as members, they all in it. That makes them a member of the RICO. Because what people were saying, and there were even jokes, Dave Chappelle made a joke that said, dang, I ain't never seen nobody, he got a RICO charge and it's only him. Now, this is revised wording. This revised wording is going to pull in anybody that was a member of his LLCs. They are, the feds got them all. All right. It says members and associates of the Combs Enterprise engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other activities, S trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The Combs Enterprise, including its leadership, its members, and its associates, constituted an enterprise under the law. Now, here's the key part. They're going to now define the Combs Enterprises that are in trouble under this indictment. Check this out. It says the Combs Enterprise consisted of Sean Combs, Diddy, as well as entities within the Combs business, including, but not limited to, Bad Boy Entertainment. That means any executives of Bad Boy Entertainment from 2004 to present, it's your behind. You are wrapped up in RICO in the same way that the D-boy on the street corner selling bags of crack is just as much in trouble as the head honcho that was facilitating the crack getting into America from Colombia. That's what RICO means. RICO means the bottom level rung person can be charged just like the head honcho. And that is what will now happen with bad boy executives. So anticipate seeing some former bad boy executives being charged criminally in this federal indictment. And they will have their own case number. They will have their own, all of that. Now, it will probably eventually get merged together, but they're going to have their own separate charges. So it says it includes Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global. Baby, part of that was Revolt and stuff. So y'all remember, I said previously when I explained how Cassie got her money so quickly, I said the next thing you're going to see is he's going to have to step down from his entities. Why? Because otherwise those entities are going to be wrapped up in this indictment. So anybody who is an executive of Combs Business or Combs Global was the liquor, the this, that, it had all of that subsumed together. Oh, baby, they all going to jail. Y'all going to jail. Jail or hell, maybe a little bit of both. And then also, number 3, Combs Enterprises includes individuals employed by and associated with the Combs businesses and those others known and unknown. So this is going to be his female assistants that used to do his dirty work. The ones who used to tattletale on Cassie and say where she was when she was trying to escape. Yeah, y'all are in it now. Y'all are in it. Y'all are in it. So this is how it's not just going to be him going down. They're now going to be able to get his comments. So basically, hey, guess what? Guess who else this includes? His mama. His mama. His sons. Both of them. Oh, and it has been confirmed, y'all. He never adopted Quincy. That was just some ghetto. That's his play son. You know how you have a play sister, a play brother when you're in the 3rd or 4th grade. Might even have him all the way through to your adulthood. That's his play son. That is not his adopted son. I'll be sure to confirm that. So his mama is now in it. He didn't put, what's her name? Is Joyce? What? That wig reminds me of my Aunt Joyce. But yes. Oh, it says Simone, Ethiopia. Ethiopia is one of his former assistants. She said, pass me the mic, and got dismissed from the lawsuit. No. Ethiopia did that with respect to Rodney's lawsuit. That has nothing to do with criminal. So yes, you are absolutely right. That happened with one of the civil suits. Rodney, whatever his name is, Lil Rod. However, that holds no weight with criminal. She is probably one of the top ones that will be either charged or told, you better sing like a canary or you will be charged. So she will be one of the key witnesses. Hey, guess who else is going to be a key witness for the state? I'm sorry, for the government. Kimora Simmons. And you know who else is going to be one of the key witnesses for the government? I can't wait to see this one. Lorianne Gibson. Ooh, Lorianne will get her justice. She will get her justice. Tell me who else in the chat do you want to see from the past? Aubrey O'Day. She will also be one of the government's witnesses. So we know it's Aubrey, Kimora, and Audrey O'Day. I'm sorry, and Audrey, Kimora, and Lorianne. No, somebody said Carisha. No, absolutely not. Carisha would be for the defense. Carisha's not. No. All right, let's get back to reading. Let me see. Somebody said I just said I knew that adoption was. Somebody said Wendy Williams. No, Wendy Williams is not on the list. Mama Combs should have been taken down for those awful wigs alone. Oh my, you're going to hell. You mean his aunt? Oh, his mama aunt? Is his mama aunt? Yeah. So basically they got his mama and sons entangled in this too. Yes. So what I want you guys to just be clear about is one of the key points of this revised indictment, of this amended indictment. It's called a superseding indictment, but I'm going to refer to it as an amended. It's just easier to grasp what we're talking about. Is that with this definition of Combs Enterprises, including all of these people, it includes his kids because they were considered executives of certain enterprises. It includes, I'm talking about the boys, it includes his mom to the extent that she was considered an executive. And remember, a lot of the real estate is in mama's name. It includes people like Ethiopia and his other female assistants. So that stuff is cute. Okay, so we got it. All right, so all right, and the purpose of the Combs Enterprises, we got that part. We're all clear on that. All right, now we're going to hop down to 12. I'm focusing on the changes because we already know what he was charged with. But child. All right. Okay, here we are. So in addition, what they revise is this paragraph 12, the means and methods of the enterprise. It says, among the means and methods by which Sean Combs, the defendant, and other members and associates of the Combs Enterprises conducted and participated in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs Enterprise included the following. Combs and other members and associates of the Combs Enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs's role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs's orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims, including but not limited to 3 female victims, victims 1, 2, and 3, to engage in commercial S acts in connection with the commercial S acts. Combs provided the victims with, among other things, monetary payments, career opportunities, and payment of rent and housing expenses. Now, last time we thought one of the victims was Kid Cudi, but this is now clarifying all 3 of the victims articulated here are women. We know one of them is Cassie. Some of the commercial S acts involved male commercial S workers and were referred to by Combs as, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate, produced S performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of other members and associates of the Combs Enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial S workers across state lines and internationally. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involved multiple commercial S workers. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Sometimes unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in S acts with commercial S workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. Members and associates of the Combs Enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other Combs business employees, facilitated the freak-offs by, among other things, booking hotel rooms for the freak-offs. Now we know who some of those people were. The people who booked these, that means you in it. You are one of these RICO defendants, and you can be charged with a life sentence just like he is facing. So, among other things, those who booked hotel rooms for the freak-offs, stocking the hotel room in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to try to mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial S workers, and Combs to and from freak-offs, resupplying Combs with required supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial S workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. In or about March 2024, during searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, and LA, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Other commercial S acts involved only Combs and a female victim. As with freak-offs, other members and associates of the Combs Enterprise assisted with arrangements for these commercial S acts. including by arranging travel and accommodations for victims. At times, Combs, with the assistance of other members and associates of the enterprise, transported and caused to be transported victims across state lines, internationally in connection with the Commercial S Acts. Like the freak-offs, these Commercial S Acts involving Combs and a female victim were pre-arranged, sometimes lasting multiple days, were sometimes electronically recorded by Combs, and often involves Combs distributing a variety of controlled substances to the victim, in part to keep the victim obedient and compliant. Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse to cause the victims to engage in freak-offs and other commercial acts. Combs maintained control over his victims through, among other things, physical violence, promises of career and financial opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victim's appearance, monitoring their medical records. Oh my God, he did do that with Cassie. Controlling their housing and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from freak-offs and other commercial S acts, Combs, among other things, hit, kicked, and threw objects at and dragged victims, at times by their hair. These assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. Following the assaults, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the enterprise, frequently worked to conceal his misconduct by offering to provide medical assistance or other financial benefits to the victims. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods, including if they resisted engaging in these acts with Combs, and at times with Combs and male S workers. Victims believed they could not refuse Combs' demand without risking their financial or job security or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. Combs also used the sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings that he made during the F-offs as collateral to ensure the continued obedience and silence of the victims. Now, I'm going to pause right there because the theme for the defense, Diddy's defense, is going to be, this was all consensual. We're just freaks. Again, this was all consensual. We're just freaks. Cassie's a freak. I'm a freak. But here's the problem. If you got to drug somebody to be a freak, they ain't a freak. If you got to drug them to do it, they don't want to do it. And that's where he's going to have difficulty with that theme. Because I believe majority of them are going to talk about how even if they were addicted, they got addicted because of his demands. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including security personnel, and carried firearms. On one or more occasions, Combs himself carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims of and witnesses to his abuse. In or about March 2024, during searches of his residences in Miami and LA, law enforcement seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, as well as a drum magazine. So he would have been fine if they were 3 ARs with serial numbers. The defaced serial numbers said, oh, no, this is going to be used for trouble. Because the type of celebrity he is, he could easily get away with having those because he has security and needs protection. But defaced serial numbers is scary. And I bet that one of the victims is going to articulate having one pointed at them, or in somehow it being used to coerce them to do something they didn't otherwise want to do. It says members and associates of the Combs enterprise enabled Combs control over victims by following his directions regarding financial payments to victims, advancing or supporting the victim's career opportunities, and acquiring the controlled substances Combs used to keep the victims compliant. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise at times witnessed Combs' violence towards the victims or the victims' injuries caused by Combs without intervening. Oh, honey, that's everybody that saw what he did to Cassie and more. It says, instead, members and associates of the Combs enterprise helped conceal the violence and abuse by, among other things, assisting Combs in monitoring and preventing victims from leaving locations such as hotels or Combs residences. These occasions included instances in which a victim was required to remain in hiding, sometimes for several days at a time, to recover from injuries Combs inflicted without being publicly observed. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise also assisted Combs in locating and contacting victims who attempted to flee his abuse. We're almost done with this section. It says, when employees, witnesses to his abuse, or others threaten Combs' authority or reputation, he and members and associates of his enterprise engaged in acts of violence, threats of financial and reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included arson and multiple acts of kidnapping, including one instance of kidnapping during which Combs carried and displayed a firearm. In addition, on multiple occasions, Combs threw both objects and people, as well as hit, dragged, choked, and shoved others. On one occasion, Combs dangled a victim over an apartment balcony. Oh, by the way, I found out who that was. Of course, I'm not going to say that victim's name, but it's not Wale. It's a female. He did that to a woman. He dangled a woman, actually one of Cassie's friends, over the balcony, but it was a female friend because he felt that female friend was encouraging Cassie to leave him and or encourage Cassie to date somebody else. When Combs' authority or reputation was threatened by the possibility of negative publicity or legal or law enforcement action against him, including in or about the late 2023 following public allegations of Combs' crimes, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise pressured witnesses and victims, including through attempted bribery, to stay silent and not report what they experienced or knew to law enforcement. You can't do that. You can give somebody and pay somebody for an NDA all you want, but you cannot prevent them from talking to law enforcement about what they saw or experienced. In effect, that would be considered perjury on the federal level, lying to a federal agent. So if a FBI agent says, hey, did you see Diddy do this? And you say no, that's perjury. You can go to prison. And people have gone to prison for lying to a federal agent. Martha Stewart, that's what she went to prison for. It wasn't insider trading. It was lying to a federal agent. It says, all right, then it says, on phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, among other things, provided these victims and witnesses with false narratives of events and an event to conceal Combs' crimes. Combs caused these calls to be recorded on at least 2 occasions. So that sounds like he's trying to get people, like when he knew indictments and stuff were coming, or that he knew that the feds had started talking to people in 2023. So this correlates because it talks about in late 2023 is when the feds started interviewing people. And so effectively, knowing that the feds were going around, he would go to people and be like, what are you going to say? Don't say this, don't say that, I'm going to pay you to not. That's a crime. And so that was also part of what the feds pointed to say no bail, honey. All right, now we've got the racketeering charges. Again, I'm only going over the new stuff. So what we're going over today, this is an amended indictment, a new indictment, new charges, new victims. So we've got, let me see, this paragraph 13. All right, we got 13. A and H. Got it. All right, 13A. The racketeering. And the biggest change is they really outlined in RICO, they've expanded it to say, hey, it wasn't just Diddy that's in trouble. It's everybody that worked for him, people who booked flights, people who booked hotel rooms, people who stocked the hotel rooms, people who cleaned the hotel rooms, people who flew out people who hired the S workers. You know who that is? That includes Daphne Joy. Daphne, girl, you better just give that baby the 50. Give him the 50. You about to be fighting for your life, honey pie. You're about to be fighting for your life. That includes Daphne Joy, and it includes Carisha. If the allegations are true, that Carisha, now with Daphne Joy, there were allegations that Daphne was booking people's flights. Carisha ain't got time to be booking nobody's flights. So I'm gonna hold back and say it's probably not Carisha because Carisha got stuff to do. And I believe if Carisha, had controlled substances, that was for her and Diddy. That was for her man. She wasn't booking that for the peons, people below. No, but I believe that they probably had Daphne Joy booking all kind of stuff because, she's different skill set. She's not, you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Hold on. Before I get in this, I'm going to read a few. Arson. Yes. Arson, probably Kid Cudi's car. Yep. The songwriter. I remember hearing about Puff dangling a woman too. Yep. It was the woman. I don't know why. I think Puff still may get off somehow. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Oh, don't forget, if you want to book a consultation with me, you can go to SimoneRedwine.com and you can always have a consultation with me. That is SimoneRedwine.com. They start at $149 an hour. All right, back to the matter at hand. Yeah, Daphne Joy has a different skill set. She's not on TV and stuff like that. Like, I really feel like he probably just had her out there working. Gina better be careful. Gina was out there talking to Gina. I know he had you over there working, girl, not just with your legs open. Yeah, he had you booking flights, honey. Might have had you cleaning hotel rooms too. I don't know. Bless your heart. I don't know. All right. So again, we're focusing on the amended paragraphs. So 13A, the racketing conspiracy. From at least in or about 2004. So one of the major changes is previously the allegation started in like 2009. Now they were rolling them on back to 2004. So that's literally a 20-year window from 2004 to 2024. It says in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, the defendant, and others known and unknown, being persons employed by and associated with the Combs enterprise described in paragraphs 6 through 12 of this indictment, an enterprise engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together and with each other to violate the racketeering laws of the U.S., to wit, Title 18. That is to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, as that term is used under the law. Again, the Combs enterprise is everything this man owns, all of them. Bad boy, all of the record executives, your ass is grass. Okay, better keep that butthole clenched, baby, because they coming for you. Harvey Pierre, be worried. Who are some of the other names? Oh, Andre Harrell. Oh, he's gone on to glory. Not him. Then you got to be on this earthly planet. But there are plethora. Any executives? Absolutely. And even some of the lower level people, the personal assistants, yeah, they're going to be rounded all up in there. And the way to prevent from getting time is they're going to have to turn state's evidence. They're going to have to be witnesses for the prosecution. And it's really going to depend on what they did. So for some of those that knew somebody, beat Cassie's tail and told on her when she was trying to escape, or if someone was trying to leave, they told on them and that person got a bigger beating, they may not be able to simply testify and tell. They may have to do some probation and or time. It says A, multiple acts involving kidnapping, chargeable under the following provisions of state law: California law, California Penal Code, kidnapping, aiding, abetting, conspiracy, another form of kidnapping, New York kidnapping, attempted kidnapping, aiding and abetting, New York penal law. Oh, multiple acts involving arson, chargeable under the following provisions: California law. Okay, all the stuff that was burnt up was California. Multiple acts involving bribery, chargeable under the following provisions: California law. So this means he was bribing people that were located in California. This means he was setting people on fire and stuff on fire that was located in California. So based on the number of states is how you know where these things allegedly occurred. All right. Multiple acts of trafficking. Remember, trafficking is taking someone from one state to another or one country to another. So again, if you got a girl, just do it to her in Dallas. Don't put her on the plane. Don't bring her to Miami. Just do it to her in Dallas and then go get you somebody that's in Florida and you get on the plane and do it to them there. And then it says multiple offenses involving the possession with intent to distribute or distribution of narcotics and controlled substances, including cocaine, oxycodone, Alzheimer's. This one is, I believe that is like Xanax or Ritalin or Valium. I can't remember. Meth, ketamine. Oh, that's a bad one. Mushrooms, meth. This is all these different drugs. Those were referenced before as well. And it says the defendant agreed that a co-conspirator, it was a part of the conspiracy that Diddy, the defendant, agreed that a conspirator would commit at least 2 acts of racketeering activity in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprises. Now, they have a notice of special sentencing factor. Basically, because of what he's done and the egregiousness, they want the jury to really stick it to him. Because it says from at least or about 2009 up and including 2018, in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere as part of his agreement to conduct and participate in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering, Diddy agreed to in and affecting interstate commerce and foreign commerce, like the stuff that he agreed to affected. It affected interstate commerce because he would knowingly recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, all those things, and solicit by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact and means of the force, threats, fraud, and coercion as discussed under the law. All right, now the counts that were changed, I'm just going to confirm. I believe it was actually count 1. So we're just going to go over the ones that are changed. 17. No new counts or any substantive changes other than those above. Additional racketeering. Let me see. Includes additional allegations in count 1. All right, we read those. And certain victims' relevance to counts 1 and 3. All right, so for this one, the new paragraph 2 is 17, which is count 3. Okay, got it. All right, for 17, it says from at least in or about 09 up to and including in or about 2024 in the Southern District, the defendant knowingly transported individuals in interstate and foreign commerce with intent that the individuals engage in prostitution and attempted, aided, and abetted and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs, transported, aided, abetted, willfully caused the transportation of female victims, including but not limited to victims 1, 2, and 3, and commercial S workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in prostitution. All right, guys. So we know the asset forfeiture. Y'all, this is why this is huge. Let me flip this. Y'all can see my big face as I talk about it. Asset forfeiture is huge. What it means now, because of how Combs enterprise is defined, the government gets the enterprises. There will be no more bad boy records. There will be no more whatever the entity was that owned any rights that he used to have in the liquor brands. There will be now he no longer leads Revolt, but still, is my understanding, still had stock. Got to give up that stock. You got to give all that. Oh, and just because he no longer has a part in Revolt, if any executives of Revolt did that activity as outlined in here, they're in it too. They are in it too. All of that. So in effect, this impacts his legacy and what he can give to his children, because the government is likely, bad boy is gone. And let me tell you what that means. People be like, oh, so it means he doesn't run anymore. No, baby. That means the assets of bad boy will no longer be owned by him either. That means the masters, and I know he was willing to give back some people their masters, but he's still entitled to certain royalties. All of that, the government literally will likely seize and then sell at auction. So one of these hedge funds will likely buy the rights to all of that music, any trademarks. So you can buy the bad boy trademark. You can buy it. Y'all can get it. Let me know. Let me see if there's any other questions in the chat. Capricorn Clark is his old assistant as well. If y'all follow her on social media, check it out. She goes up missing for a while. She might be locked up. Hey, why don't I apply for a press conference newbie? They're taking applications now. You don't have to be part of. Oh, I did think of that. You are right. I think you're talking about for the Trump administration. I don't know that they would give them to someone who isn't Republican, but hey, why not try? Multiple. It said they need to roll it back to 1996. Girl. Oh, if they rolled it back to 1996, then people that were aware about that whole his whole charge with Shine and all that, that makes perfect sense. It says, I like Carisha. She does give bottom energy. I like her too, but I have a feeling that like she was his little princess. I don't think he had her doing any of those kind of things. I think she may have. I think whatever she did, she consented to. I'll put it like that. So I don't think that she was necessarily a victim anything, and I don't necessarily think, as of now, the facts that are out there, I don't necessarily think she was a someone that victimized others. But what do I know? I don't know that much about facts pertaining to her. I'm a fan. I say Gina was getting 6K, 7K and marketing from that Dejanelle. Oh, see, Gina. See, and Gina, you girl. Because see, here's the thing: Gina has to get her own lawyer. Now, a lawyer may initially let like Diddy or Diddy's team pay for the initial down payment, the initial whatever with the lawyer. But what happens is when that happens, we have to have an agreement signed that says, listen, our loyalty is to you, Gina. So if it ever gets to a point where what you need to say is going to is is going to make it more likely that Diddy is found guilty, then we are going to advise you and we don't give a fart about that. So sometimes it gets to a point where that person no longer wants to, or the attorney doesn't feel comfortable taking that person's money anymore. In other words, Gina is going to have to put up some money in the same way Daphne Joy is screwed. Because what's going to happen with Daphne Joy? Daphne Joy was one of Diddy's girlfriends who also is 50 Cent's baby mama for his youngest child, the cute little boy. Well, she's going to have to get her own lawyer too. We know 50's not paying for it, and maybe Diddy will pay for it. But the state may not, the government may not want him to do that because they may be concerned about bribery, about tampering with witnesses and stuff like that. So actually, now that I process it that way, yeah, his legal team will probably tell him, nope, you can't pay for nobody that potentially could be a state witness. You can't pay for their lawyer. Daphne is on her own, baby. Daphne, you better start selling some pussy. I don't know if you do already. Get your OnlyFans. Said Carisha met with Brendan Paul to get her man's fix, allegedly. Gotcha. But see, again, if it's one thing if it's the two of them, it's the enterprise is more getting the supplies for others. So I'm glad you mentioned Brendan Paul. Brendan Paul is the alleged drug mule that was caught on Diddy's plane with narcotics. And he was caught in Miami. He was given a probation sentence because it was a first offense, and that has been done. That is because he is going to be a key witness for the feds. He's going to be a key witness for the government. Mark my words, because the definition of RICO, as read previously, absolutely includes his role, which was getting the narcotics and having them available for the parties. Because keep in mind, people like the drug mule, when you have a RICO charge, can be charged and given the same sentence as Diddy himself as the head honcho. That's the strength of RICO, is the lowest level person, the person who cleaned up the Badissi, cleaned up the cum stains, cleaned up the rooms after the sex escapades, can get the same sentence as Diddy himself, the orchestrator of the entire enterprise. All right, let me see if I have any final questions in the chat. I remember hearing about him dangling someone. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody said T.I. and Tiny are conspirators too. Y'all are a mess. Y'all are a mess. Where is my... Okay, there we go. All right. I think we got all the commentary. Oh, Love Jones. Do we think he'll get pardoned? Well, we know that he went for Kamala. He went for Kamala. So I think that may make things different. But also, Trump may very likely do that as a way to show he doesn't hate Black people. Yes, Badissi. Yes, Badissi. Was J-Lo a co-conspirator? Well, if they broaden the time frame, this time frame only goes to 2004, and the incident with J-Lo was prior to that. But yeah, there are a number of reasons where I could see Trump wanting to pardon him, and it would be ridiculous. What about Stevie J? Yes. Oh, Stevie J, that'll be a good one. Yeah, They're going to get Stevie in there because we know Stevie does a lot of drugs. Just look at his decision-making skills. That's the only thing that would make sense. But the black people said, keep him in there. No, we really did. But I could see him doing it to piss off liberals because we all want him locked up. But then to use pardoning him as a way to show to whites or conservatives, like, hey, look what I did for the blacks. I released their millionaire leader. See, I like the blacks. Doing it, knowing good and well it would piss us off. So we don't want Diddy pardoned. But see, that's not how they think. He won't do it for us. He'll do it to look like he's for us. You see what I'm saying? He will do it so that he can tell his base, look what I did for those unhappy, ungrateful blacks. I freed their musical leader. And they're still ungrateful, just ungrateful. Hit that like button, y'all. We only have 107 likes. We've got over 300 watching. I need that. Hit that button. Please share this with a friend. So this is it's called the superseding indictment, which is basically an amended indictment. It now lists not one, not just Casey, but 3 women he's now being accused of. It expands it to include everybody who's ever worked for Bad Boy since 2004. It includes anybody who's worked for any of the Combs enterprises. It includes his sons. They are endangered. It includes his mama, if she's ever worked for one of the Combs enterprises. We know she's owned real estate. So if mama's house was used for a freak off, any of the properties she's owned, she in it. Mama is in it. And I do believe they're going to do their best to have his family flip. Because here's why they do that. They love to try and force your family to flip and or face charges, because it dramatically increases the likelihood that defendant will take a plea, because they don't want their mama in her blonde wig to be locked up at her big age in the feds. And they don't want their sons, the real son and the play son, Quincy, to be locked up in the feds. He don't want Christian. Christian can't handle it. Oh, they'll bust him wide open. Bust it wide open and they'll tell him, bring him back. I mean, seriously. The internet said Mama Combs arranged her own freak-offs. I believe it. Somebody said, somebody tell 50 to call Trump and tell him no. Now 50 will do that. 50 will do that. And then 50 will give $1 million to like a Trump fund just to be funny. He has the money and will do so. Mean Mina said he's not my musical leader. Oh, I understand. No, but they think so low of us that I could see Harvey Pierre going down. He's already, they've got him up in that office. But we're going to see, there's going to be some amazing witnesses and testimony. It'll be here before we know it. What do we got? February, March, April, May. February, March, April, pretty much 3 months. 3 months. And we will see, guys. All right. Thanks so much for joining. I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Simone. And thanks for turning into Girl, Is That Legal on YouTube.